Hello, I'm Gary Allen, welcoming you back to this project. Last time we installed our patio, deck, brick columns, walls, and steps. Today we return to complete and give this backyard setting a designer's landscape. What we had was just a fenced-in backyard that was rectangular in nature. We have come in, if you reflect back on our plan, was basically to take the square patio, round things off, and provide the homeowners with more space. Well, we did that in an elegant fashion, in other words, using brick walls and brick columns to accent the new patio installed. A footer was dug, very wide and spacious, then block, then the brickwork installed. And it took quite a while, but it got us to this point. Now we're really waiting for the final touches. That'll be caps on these, lighting, which we'll show you on the columns, and finally getting to where we could pour this. We built the wall and then poured this pad last. A spray deck company will come in and actually make these all one continuous colored surface. So that will blend the old with the new and give it a whole new look. Now our goal, naturally, since we have the first phase of circular patio rather than square, is to accent these walls and columns with plantings, sod, and trees. What's really exciting is that drastic changes are taking place in the entire backyard, but getting our hard surface down with the brick borders, brick accents, the columns and walls in circular or curved patterns, I love it. Now we get to put the icing on the cake. Remember how I said last time, if you were with us, that this direction or this impact point would change drastically, and it will continue to do so. Off the driveway here, we had a hedge, a privacy hedge. Now, we still need to consider some privacy for the homeowners. An iron fence will go in, but also a gate here. So this will be, again, we're going to put the icing on the cake by decorating with trees and landscape. What do you say we begin by installing some evergreen trees in the back here? What a beautiful tree, huh? Now this is number 2, the third one behind me where the guys are digging the receiving hole, and we'll have an island that'll come out and tie in basically with the pine tree there. That should look good. While I'm here, let's talk about the EAGLESTON holly. It looks like it's a cross, and I'm not sure between which two or so varieties of hollies, but I find 2 different leaf shapes here. One has a smooth, acute tip, which they both take on that shape, but look, some seem to have spikes or sharp points on their leaves and others not. Kind of a mixture of these 2 type of textures. And that's what happens when you mix the hollies. Some of the new varieties like East Palatka has smoothed out completely. So when you get a mix or an interbreeding, basically you'll have a little bit of half and half. As you look up the tree, you see the conical shape or pyramidal shape that this tree has, and you see the limbs that are starting to outgrow that. This could be rounded or it could keep this conical shape. By any means, what we will do is to get some of this big skirt off, we're going to clean it up a little more so it will be a standalone clear trunk specimen and not full to the ground, and then our plants will just meander right underneath. Well, after our 3rd tree is installed, I think we'll be ready for some plants. I thought I would take a moment and do something I haven't done in a while with you, and that's install a few plants. Here we have a beautiful loropetalum, And what we usually do is turn the container so that we mark the exact spot we want our new plant to go in. One thing I'm trying to be conscious of is piling or stacking my dirt or unwanted soil on one side of the hole. So many people will pile it all the way around, and then you can't see what's really the new level or your existing level or grade to plant this newly installed specimen. So I've got a square shovel, but I'm digging a round hole. Now many of you will be amending your soil, so you'll dig a bigger hole in this and put peat or sand or something like that in here. Right now you see the dark color of this soil. It's going to be just fine. For us, we'll use a slow release fertilizer. I'll come back and apply that later. Usually the best thing to do, set the plant down, tap it a little bit. Look, I see a few roots growing out of here of the rear end. Well, that may hold it or restrict it, especially if it's well rooted around here. So to make sure it comes out easily, you can pull those off and the plant ought to slide right out. Oh wow, one thing I didn't notice is that the red roots almost match the foliage of this plant. Now these roots are really quite compacted, so I'll go ahead and make some cuts here just along the plant, a couple different places to encourage, those roots to get out and expand. Really, I'm not damaging the plant. Okay, I set him in here. This is the point. I find that every specimen or every plant has a front side and a back side. Now, as you see me rotate this around, I'll find an angle that the plant is viewed most often from. Here behind you is a sidewalk, so wouldn't it make sense for it to taper up? This is the back side. Lower presentation. Also, don't worry so much about planting the container straight up and down. Look at the foliage. The root ball itself could be crooked or angled, but you want just the foliage to be at an angle that is most enjoyable. Let me pack this in good. Then we'll move over and plant another specimen. Now we usually have leftover dirt and soil. Here I want to pack with my foot just to push out all those air pockets, then come in with one more light layer of soil, and the mulch will kind of do the rest, bringing it up to its final grade. Now with this extra dirt, I don't want to pile it around the tree trunk. Let me just scatter it back here, making sure we keep this level grade under our tree. Okay, another lower petalum back here. I'll drop him in the ground. He doesn't seem to be so root bound either. Another thing I didn't talk about is the bottom of a container is flat. You see that line? Many times we need to really flatten the bottom of the hole because we've got a cavity in there. So I always like to, whether we need to add more dirt or not, make it as flat as possible for the new plant to lay firmly on and to eliminate air pockets. Well, what do you say? I've moved some plants over here and let's begin our bed outline so we can get a feel for what is going to happen here. Sod in this area, and I want to start at the stair of the deck. We have a bed on that side, but I want to show you this radius because we'll come right under the holly tree that we've installed. I'm going to head towards you. The idea is that easy to mow curves or radiuses with our turf grass are going to work. They'll not only look better, but they will be more functional and easier to maintain. Then this bed is really for an accent on the brick wall that we have. We'll be building that also, terracing that down to kind of focus in on the steps there. What do you say we use the trusty old African iris in the corner here to begin to soften, well, the steps, the stairwell. We'll do a little balancing act. Aztec, we've got some juniper. Matter of fact, let's take a look at the procumbens juniper up close. This is Juniperus chinensis, procumbens nana. Really, that depicts a dwarf nature in this juniper. You see the tiny little leaves, so it's really compact. I like the green habit too. The fact that it has a lower growing habit, it won't grow too tall. It'll just spread out as you look at the specs there. A full sun plant. And again, I think this color is going to look good on the, we'll use it under here, make application with the brick. That contrast should look really good. Let me set up some of the iris. We've got Aztec and the juniper. See how it looks. Looking down the line here, I like it so far. Look how the iris is doing its job. Really by screening or softening where the steps in the deck meet and covering some of that lattice work. Fashion azalea with that coral color type peach bloom, and some more over here close to you. Oh, also as I come up, we're using an azalea. We had where the brick met the deck. Here, this kind of not so beautiful come together place. Let's use a plant to conceal that. What do you say? Hey, plants can hide a multitude of things. Down the line here, this should look pretty good. Now turn the corner with me under the tree, because we've put to work the procumbens nana juniper. I like the idea that this is going to be low and it won't obstruct the view from the patio deck, as you'll see, down into what will be our lawn area. We're fighting a little bit of the rain, got some raindrops, and we're still waiting for our sod, so why don't I continue? We'll get you down by the steps and see what ideas and plants we can come up with down here. I didn't really show you the beds this time. I did last time. I hope you can see again how we want to make a big impression. The bed lines cover the same pattern or outline that our wall and patio have. And we want turf grass in here with our brick walk. I'll show you. I take my shovel, I turn it backwards, and in order to grade out a little line there, we want this turf grass to sit down, if you will, and be recessed along the walk, not to already be above grade. So that's a little trick I used to kind of recess and edge out before we lay the sod. Over here, let's try to use 3 plant types, if you will: tall, medium, and small. And basically, I think we're going to cover the same. We can have one dead into there and then divide these 2, medium and small, with a similar radius. Tall, medium, and lower. And we'll carry that theme right across the steps to the other side. We'll bring you up close and feature the CLEYERA japonica, a beautiful plant. So, the CLEYERA japonica. Now, this plant has also been labeled as Ternstroemia gymnanthera. However you want to remember it, we call it simply CLEYERA. Not used primarily for its flower growth, but the beautiful flush of color that the new tips have. Isn't that a beautiful plant? A medium shrub, CLEYERA. Our sod has arrived. Good looking sod indeed. And I've set up some CLEYERA to match up our little radius that we're following here. I think this looks really good on the color of the brick. And you notice too, we've started to set in our outside line or our turf grass and bed line border. That's the way we lay the sod. We do the outside perimeter and then we'll fill in the middle. While we're doing that still, I'm going to keep working on this planter in front of the steps and see what will come next. Well, I hope you see or notice a change. Our color combination here is the little John azalea stacked on front of the CLEYERA and the gold lantana that's very vibrant and colorful. Now we've also come down and extended more of the juniper to kind of match up and meet. I didn't want too much of the gold lantana. We don't want to overdo it, kind of need that presence right there at the base of the step. And I hope from where you are, you can see the movement that we're trying to create here. A combination of grading, which goes down the hill, and then the curvature of the bed line really creates a nice movement. So this will be solid soon. I've also come in at some part of the wall here and on the other side with some tea olive. These are pretty good size, and the fragrance is lovely. It's going to be great for visitors or the homeowners enjoying the patio. They're loaded with buds now, and very, very nice fragrance there. Well, I'll let the guys set up a mirror image on this other side of the wall, and I'm going to go work on another area. We hadn't really shared with you much of the hardscape plan that we had last time, and go back and look at the plan for that, as well as the landscape picture or plan we have. Really, we had a concept, and we worked out the details as we went, extending our patio with the brick border, the walls and the columns. And this part of the property, we decided to leave open, bring it up to grade, and so this will be an invitation to walk or view down into the yard. And I think with the grass outline here, we see that curve. The bed comes in, dies, and then starts again with that holly tree. So I think African iris might do a good job of somehow giving us a tropical feeling. It does that. It looks a little tropical by the pool. And so what I'm thinking is we'll have a few of these that kind of come to a close there, and then we'll mimic that on this side, repeating this tropical iris, if you will. And I think the spike, the other thing it does is it helps jump up through the deck so that there's a little safety issue here. I mean, the wall does rise, 1 foot to 15 inches here. So it kind of gives us a don't walk in this direction zone, you see, until we get to this point, and it comes back up to grade so we can make this easy transition down into the yard. We'll finish this bed off, but we need to lay that sod. Homeowners want really some privacy and screening, so we've got some large viburnum to kind of set in here when this neighboring lot is built, so that we can build in that privacy for their pool. Let's work on that. All right, I want you to come on down the sidewalk with me, and we'll show you how things are developing here. I'm going to save this to the end, okay, when you see this all decorated, but you could even reflect for a moment. When we started, what this looked like, we had a hedge, we opened it up, we got our sidewalk, our patio in place, and so it's looking better already. I had mentioned privacy down here, so we've got a 7-gallon viburnum, a large viburnum, and a couple things to note. We've come in with some sod here. Sod is a ground cover, so we'll treat this as a low ground cover area and continue to decorate. I've got some boxwood and some dwarf nandina. But I want to make an impression here as I invite you into the backyard. And that is, even though we have a line, a fence, and the hedging, we can still use curves for our hedge lines. In other words, you see how we've pushed this bed out. And we're running our hedge in a curve too, so that it's not such a straight line. And then look how the sod has developed. Roads with the berming and the invitation to walk down to the river. Also, I want you to take note of that bed that we've set up there. We'll be putting that in the ground soon. A favorite part of the project is when we add our mulch, because it really does decorate everything out. Now we can add, around these sagos, maybe some annuals to add some color to this little part of the landscape. We've come in with 2 types of mulch, basically. Pine straw here. Doesn't that just clean things up? And with using 2 types of mulch, does it bother you? I mean, I kind of like it. We have a reddish color to the pine straw and more of a tan to the cypress, but it's working well. We need, with the time left, is really consider our concept for nightscaping and landscape lighting. We begin with our post lighters here to light a pole or a post, in this case a column or even a wall. Our procedure really, we drill through the mortar because it's softer and then run our wire with our light or lamp attached to it, really where the conduit meets and our low voltage wiring. We secure that and then also put an attachment screw here with an insert that the light or lamp rests on. Our goal here, we put these on the inside of the column to light the steps for safety at night. And so our goal is really to provide a little bit of entrance and highlight the step or stairway. While the post lighters on the column will help illuminate some of the deck, we have some other dark spots, and that's where this illuminator, which throws a 15-foot radius, we would like to place somewhere in the landscaped area so it's out of the way, and we look forward it to cast a 15-foot radius on this side to the pool deck, as well as illuminate the earth, the turf grass, and the landscape bed. Closer to this tree, rather than downlighting, we'll reverse our trend and use a combination of uplighting with two of these wall lighters. Now we will use a wall lighter around for the wall, the brick wall itself. We've placed one halfway in this circular wall and about halfway down the other circular wall. But here, these can also be used because of this tilting or fine-tuning adjustment that'll go up a wall, or you can cast it further. We'll use these for the specimen tree here, the holly, and I want to pull it out a little bit enough to tweak it where we can go inside foliage or outside of this foliage to try to catch or capture illumination from these two primary sight views. That is where you see, and off the living room area, one here, that will cast light on the tree from this angle. Again, if we can achieve that, we'll repeat that uplighting process on all three of our holly trees for continuity and uniformity. And finally, we used what's called a delighter, really a bell lamp we call it. And really this throws a 12-foot radius of light. And we use this in beds that we want to illuminate, as well as pathway and path lighting. So where the sidewalk goes to the driveway through the gate there, this will ensure safety for foot traffic around the patio deck at night. So whether you're expanding or designing a patio deck, a driveway or sidewalk, put the curves to work for you. I think you'll enjoy it. I'll see you next time on The Designer's Landscape. So long.